since the last video I've actually had some time to read up a bit on ship roles. There's quite a few things which I'd either forgotten or just didn't know about. Over the last couple of videos definitely I've experienced a few problems with ships and fleets basically because of ship roles mainly, and also because of some of the design decisions that I'd made. So yeah, I've had a long read through the wiki or wikia of Galciv 3. It actually exists, and it's actually a decent article on ship roles on there that I'll leave a link so you can read it yourself. It's pretty good. So I'll be discussing quite a bit about ship roles coming up, and I've actually redesigned some ships a bit as well to make use out of ship roles a bit better than I had been doing. You can see here this ship is the Rock Salt, and it is an escort ship, and it's focusing on point defense. Now I was actually planning on making this ship before I'd read about the ship roles, but it may be even more important than I had believed it would be, because carriers just don't seem to be all that amazing with the changes that have taken place over the last 3 or 4 patches. It's been a while since I'd used them, so I still haven't gotten down to how exactly they work in certain areas, how they regenerate their lost fighters, and I'm going to have to try and figure it out as we go along in this Let's Play. But yeah, so this role of this ship is going to be very important to protect my ships. The Drengen have a lot of missile ships. Well, they have one fleet of a lot of missiles, so I believe this escort ship could work very well against them. My fleet composition now is probably going to be a mixture of 1 or 2 of these, and then my main ships that do the damage are going to be ironclads and battleships, and then we'll have a certain amount of command ships. Now, I've actually redesigned this command ship a tiny bit. I've taken the weapons off entirely, something which I found out by reading the Galciv 3 wiki or wikia is that basically, dependent on certain types of ship roles being within a fleet, your support ships won't get involved. So there was combats earlier on in this Let's Play where I had some capital ships and support ships, and only those 2 types. So basically, when there are capital ships, the support ships won't support in any way, shape or form. So that meant that my 2 separate type of ship roles were being separated. They were in effect 2 separate fleets almost, so that they didn't work well together at all. So I've got to be much more careful about that. So I'm not going to be sticking conventional weapons on support ships anymore. I will use carriers, but yeah, they don't seem to be working very well. My carrier ships, I've slightly redesigned them as well. I got rid of the weapon that was on them. It's just not doesn't work at all. Even missiles are longer range. Yeah, so I'm not going to have them. The chance of you ever getting to use them would only, well, you'd only get to use them basically if all of your ships in front were killed, and if that happens, they're probably not going to survive anyway. So these actually, I've replaced them with extra engines, the weapons that they did have. I might try and use carriers still and use a rotation kind of method in using them. Use the fighters, and then once they've lost them, wait until they get them back, and then rotate them into fleets again. That's what I'm planning on doing, but how well that's going to work I don't know, because I don't know how long they take to regenerate. So yeah, that's been designed, but the main ship, as I believe I mentioned in the last video, is going to be ironclads for doing the damage now, because they don't use any resources. But when I can, the battleship, which has a bit of extra range. I'll discuss much more about ship roles coming up though. So this turn I've done all my colonies now, and I've done most of the movement. I've got bits left here and there. I actually want to upgrade a few ships. I can probably afford it with the amount of money I've got, and I can hopefully get money by trading in other ways a bit later on. That colony ship I brought from up here, and it's finally arrived. I've got 8 movement, so I'm going to be colonizing Shandoria, and I think I'll do that now actually. The fleet or ship I've got being made this turn is one of those rock salt ships. I've got a heck of a lot of production in there. That's actually the, yeah, I don't have that one going. I've shut that down, but I'll move those back into there and get 2 combat ships out. I've got an old carrier design being made here still, which gets done in 3 turns. Right, let's actually colonize this planet then. So, Shandoria 4 is a world thought to have been used by the precursors for dangerous experimentation. It will take a great deal of work to make it safe to colonize. These extreme world precursor worlds don't have any minuses to food as well, so that's going to be very good. These Snaffy actually managed to colonize the one over here as well. I did have a colony ship over there waiting, but I brought it back over. In fact, it's there now. Yeah, with the United Planets votes, I couldn't colonize it, sadly. So this is going there. Gonna move those before the drenching kill them as well. Right, so let's colonize that. The giant precursor experimental station orbiting this world has become an amazing resource that is assisting the ability of this planet to research new technologies. We have also found some interesting experiments that we may be able to complete with some extra work. So 10 to research points per turn, 8 production points to this colony, or influence per turn to this colony. Okay, I have no idea which is best there, to be honest. I think I'll just go for the research. I seem to be big and pragmatic still, don't I? Yeah. Right, so we get... Yeah, if we picked the Malevolent one, we would have had +8 there. You can see the +10 there from studying a precursor experimentation world. Influence one might have been alright actually, I'm not sure. But yeah, we picked that. So I need to figure out where I'm sticking stuff here in a minute. Oh, I can build a shipyard here. That's going to be incredibly useful actually. It would be if that didn't destroy it, which it probably will. Oh, I can move them onto the shipyard potentially though. I'll stick a shipyard here, but yeah, I think I'm going to lose it straight away. Okay. This Intrepid, let's move down here. I'm going to pick up that space junk. I'm also researching higher output mining. This will be very useful. I can get more resources, but possibly even better, I can then basically trade for this extra logistics off many of the miners who happen to have that. That's what I'm researching this turn. There's a ship graveyard there. Let's pick that up. Got a defender, and I didn't have to beat any pirates for a change. Let's move this to Iridium, Infernum I should say. I was mixing it. I took out a Intrepid that happened to be there as well as anomalies over here. Let's there's an artifact there, so I should change this so I can get a potential free tech. How much is that? 9 turns? Yeah, I think that's the most, so I'll just do that one. Okay. It's a wormhole, I don't want to go through that yet. Right, I didn't actually get there in time. So, what was I researching? Mining? Come back to that sensor. There's a few ships over here. Now I can't remember if this carrier on here had lost all of its modules or not. Something which I didn't know is that's concerned me recently is if the command ships bonuses stack, and I believe they do. There's no way that would be 141 if they didn't. So I'm pretty sure of it now. Let's move that to there. Gonna attack that. Yeah, it looks like the carrier's lost all of its stuff there. Just a quick battle here. Hopefully I don't lose my damaged ship there. Come back to that in a bit. I've got transports there. Got that fleet. What I'm actually going to do now is upgrade some of my ships. So I've moved that down here. Is that a movement? These ones, yeah, these are these old command ships. These just didn't work because they're support and yet they have a ton of weapons on. So if I had anything, any assault ships, any capital ships, any interceptors, basically they would get separated and I wouldn't be able to fire. Also, the ship roll determines where the actual ships start on the how far away from the enemy as well. So they were right at the back and would take forever, even if they were able to shoot, which they're not under many circumstances. So yeah, it didn't work. So I'm going to upgrade these. I'm going to start to upgrade a few ships, I think. So I'm going to do that now, and then we'll end the turn. This is the last of my ships I'm upgrading this turn. I've only actually upgraded these command ships that had kinetic attack and were support ships because they were just a bad design. So the design I've been upgrading them to is the battleship design, if I can find it by there. That's basically one of the cheapest ones to upgrade, although it's still very expensive. And these battleships actually cost about 1,000 manufacturing to actually make, so it's better to upgrade to these rather than, say, for example, the carriers, which are only about 600 odd production to make, or indeed the command ships. So yeah, I'm going to upgrade this one as well, and this is the last one. So 484. Dented my money quite a bit. They all get done in a turn because they're all within my influence here, so I've got 5 of those now, so going to have a pretty decent fleet there all of a sudden. That should work better than those old supports did. Right, let's end the turn anyway. I need to actually make some support ships now. Command ships, I should say, since I don't have any anymore. Those old command ships only had one actual fleet boosting module on them anyway, so they weren't very good. They were just a bad design overall. Should have made a capital ship with tons of weapons like those are now, really, with those. And waited until I had more fleet stuff before making them. They did work okay in some instances, but whenever they had any other ships in the fleet that were assault or capital, or I didn't actually have any interceptors, but they wouldn't work either. They didn't work too well in those circumstances. Right, so that's new turn. Put mining has got 1 turn left on it. Right, I'm going to do all of my basic movement, and then we'll get to attacking the Drengen. Colonies are finished for the turn. This recent precursor world I've colonized, Shandoria 4, is going to come in very handy with that shipyard, which I'll mention about shortly. But you can see here, this planet actually has a ton of wealth bonuses. One there. There's also this ultra spice here, and that one there. It's a bit of a pain in the ass, to be honest, since it specializes in research. I'm probably still going to do research, but yeah, I wish that wouldn't happen so much. Maybe Startup could do something to prevent that in future. The shipyard that this colony recently made by here, I'm actually getting this to make another rock salt ship here, and I've added my 3 key planets to the production there, so that I get that done in a turn. I've got one over in that part of the map as well, which I'm going to bring over here. This fleet though, with the load of missiles, I think what I'm going to do with my ships in the area, just bring it to that shipyard to protect it, and then actually attack it with the rock salt next turn. And then I can go and hunt that transport before attacking the shipyard and the main world and get the transports in. The Drengen have had it basically. It's just a matter of time before I'm able to take them out now. These ships arguably aren't as good as they used to be because they have a lot less kinetic attack, and also they don't have the command bonuses. But overall, because these are capital ships, they're going to be much better. So let's actually group these up now. I'm going to attack that en route as well, that colony ship. It doesn't have any defenses, of course. I don't think there's any more attacking Drengen I'm going to do this turn. There's just nothing in the right place. So let's bring that to that shipyard there. I think it's in range. Got some transports there which I need to be a bit careful about. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ooh, that was lucky. 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, let's bring that to there. I'm not sure I can group that many up actually. No. Let's put them there then. Well, I'll figure that out in a minute. I got stuff to move out over there. I've got a ton of whatchamacallem, Intrepids to move around to grab anomalies, so I'm going to do that now. There's a ship graveyard here. Let's quick battle that. Gunboat, nice. Let's move that back up to Infernum. One thing I should mention as well, this turn I believe I've got about 5 shipyards making stuff. So that one had production left in it. I've actually got, I think it's Hershey right at the top of the map to get production in there to make some constructors. There's a few resources nearby. Making an ironclad, which doesn't require resources there. I've got that new rock salt to move across. This one was making that old carrier design. That's making rock salt like I showed you before. And also this has been long-term making constructors up here. Second Infernum worlds being put in production in there. So yeah, that's 5 shipyards on the go now actually. The Drengen do have a lot of production in the home world as well, 1100, so that's actually nearly as much as mine. That's how they're able to make ships pretty fast and actually compete, even though they don't have so many colonies. Right, let's get these Intrepids done then. So there's an artifact, let's stick on quantum power. Not going to do any diplomatic deals this turn, or is it any I'm interested in? Wow. Okay, quantum power we've got, so I might want to upgrade my colonies slightly differently, possibly. Let's take a look at the homeworld. Oh, you can't upgrade those, so what the hell does it give you? It's a galactic achievement. So I probably might have that, but there. For the extra +3 manufacturing. And also I can upgrade the power plant with that. Okay, still pretty good. Right, let's keep on moving now. So can't get that, can't get that. What's that? Can't get that. Can't get that. Ship graveyard, ship graveyards. Okay, head towards that. Right, we'll come back to that later, come back to that later. Constructor. Gotta upgrade one of those, come back to later. The survey ship. Can't pick up graveyards with this. Space junk there, let's go and grab that. Intrepid, I'll pick up space junk. Okay. These anomalies are starting to get into range now. Okay. So actually make starbase there. Mining rain. Mining rain. Transports. Gotta move that later. I think I've moved all the Intrepids. Oh, maybe I haven't. I've got quantum power, new tech. Right, what I'm going to do now is finish up the movement for the turn then, including any Intrepids if I got any left. And then, yeah, I'll end the turn. There was a couple of Intrepid ships left, so I've got this one next to an artifact, and there was one down here somewhere as well, which I picked up a capsule and I got a tiny bit of money for. So let's pick up this. I've selected environmental resequencing, so as the last terraforming tech. It's not actually the most expensive tech, but it'd be very useful to get now, so I'm going for this. And we've actually got it. Wow, okay, brilliant. So I'm not going to redo my colonies this turn. I haven't stuck in that new Galactic Achievement. Yeah, I'll do that next turn. There's actually a scout around here. I'm going to destroy that as well. And there's more anomalies up here, so let's try and grab those in a minute. Let's do a quick battle. I've done all of the movement this turn. So I can end the turn now, pretty much. Let's stick that back on mining. Okay, so that's brilliant. Yeah, I don't think I need either of those because there aren't any toxic or radioactive worlds on the map, surprisingly. So what was I going for? I was going for mining. I think it's going to take 2 turns, sadly. Right, so that's it. I've rejigged my fleet there as well. So there's 5 battleships in a fleet, and there's a carrier. I think I put it on there. That shouldn't be able to get over to it. I've moved ships across. Right, so that's the end of the turn. How much am I losing now? 202. I've got to be a bit careful with that. Right, I move towards the transports down there. Right, it looks like one of my star bases has been attacked by a Ravager fleet. I'm probably going to lose that. I'm just going to do a quick battle. Might take out a ship or two though. Or maybe not. Okay. How big is that fleet and where's it go into? If it did move, yeah, it's not moving very fast, is it? So I can't really tell what's going on there. So I might attack that fleet this turn. I've got that rock salt is going to be perfect against those in theory, but I won't know until I've tested it out. Right, I'm going to do my basic movements for the turn, and then my colonies, and then we'll get to attacking the Drengen again. This turn I was actually able to trade with the Marauders again, and I've actually picked up a couple of technologies. So the first one, which is incredibly important and really good timing, is fleet logistics. That gives me an extra 10 logistics. And also I picked up interstellar banking, which gives a unique banking building basically that gives extra adjacency bonus. And I gave them my recently acquired environmental resequencing for those 2 techs and a bit of money basically. So with those extra logistics this turn, I've actually been able to fleet up all of the ships in the area, or nearly all the ships in the area here. And I'm going to be attacking that Drengen fleet. So I've got 5 battleships, which used to be those support command ships that had kinetic weapons. And I've also added a newly built rock salt ship, so that should be targeted first in theory. What I'm actually going to do though is stick a carrier ship which is coming over here. So I think the fighters might be targeted first. I'm really interested to see what happens here. What I'm hoping it happens is basically all of these ships are able to attack pretty much at the same time. But yeah, we'll see in a second. So shipyards this turn. I'm actually making a command ship here because I don't actually have one built in the area. So yeah, my usual big 3 are focusing on that. Everywhere else, I think those 2 are focusing on constructors now. There's still an old carrier getting built up there, and a constructor being made up over there. I've got my intrepid ships to move, and I've actually on a capital this turn started on that singularity power plant, which is going to give, I believe, 25% extra to social across all my planets because it's a galactic achievement and they're particularly good. So yeah, let's move the Intrepids and then we'll get to combat. So if I can find these in the list properly. I did have it selected on here. Right, so first Intrepid. I can pick up a capsule. I need to change this round. So let's put it back on that one. Brilliant, we got 25% towards that. Ship graveyards. Let's come over here. Okay, quick battle with that. Yeah, these anomalies, that event is too overpowered in my opinion, because the AI just isn't as good as the human player at picking up all of these anomalies. So I can get through this tank tree very quickly now. Get all these extra ships as well. It's just gonna be good for me. So that one's done. Is that moved in the list again? Why is this moved? It's a pain in the ass. so let's move that one. Right, space junk there. Right, what's that? More space junk. I'll come over here with that. Okay. That's moved next to more space junk. Treasury. Let's pick up that space junk, is it? That one can pick up ship graveyard. Quick battle. Okay, bonus to range. Right, artifact there, so let's switch this over. I believe the most expensive tech now is inertial magnification. I definitely want this. In fact, if I get it, I'm going to redesign my command ship so that gives increased range to all kinetic weapons in a fleet. Should I pick it up? And in fact, I have. I don't know what the chances of doing that is, but it's probably 1 in 3, something like that. It's pretty high. So I've got 7 movement. And we're out of movement. I think that's all the Intrepids for the turn. I do actually have a survey ship left as well, don't I? But I'm a while away from picking that up. Okay, so let's stick... Yeah, I'm going to have to redesign that ship in a minute. So let's stick... What was it? Mining back on, which I don't need. Well, I do need the mining. But I was getting that to trade for that, basically. Right, and let's do the combat. So I think this is going to be the only combat this turn. It's going to be a particularly interesting battle. So attack that there. Let's do view battle. Should win comfortably. Right, so I'm actually going to pause a second. So the assault fighters haven't increased recently. All of these are terrorizers, they're all the same ships. Now what I'm hoping happens here is basically, well, that won't be able to use that until all the ships in front of it are dead, but everything else should hopefully be able to shoot in a bit. They're currently out of range. The rock salt is protecting a battleship, so it's not protecting these. They're probably going to get killed. Yeah, hopefully it determines how fast they are when they get into range. So the fighters, because they're assault, they have assault class, they start ahead. So yeah, I'm hoping that they catch up quickly. Now they do have iron thrusters on them, my battleships do. So they should be able to close the distance and start shooting quicker than... here we go, they're starting, brilliant. Now I'm also hoping is, once these fighters have been killed, they will basically attack the escort ship, the rock salt. So if they do manage to take them out, then it's going to be very hard for them to pick up the escort ship anyway. So is that the rock salt? Yeah, it looks like they're starting to attack that now. Already, in fact. Before all of the assault fights have been taken out. The reason why they didn't attack it straight away is because it had to close the range, I think. Right, so that's brilliant. That's pretty much what my composition of my fleets is going to be like now then. So some fighters, an escort ship, the capital battleships doing all the damage, and a command ship or 2 at the back to give a ton of bonuses. And I think that's going to work very well. Okay, good sign. So I think fleets like that will be able to take on the likes of the Snaffy, whose ships aren't all that amazing. They focus in on kinetics with missile defense. The defense is going to be useless against me in a kinetics. Yeah, there could be an issue potentially. I'm going to have to design rock salt type ships that focus on armor rather than chaff, for example. Right, so I believe that's the only combat I'm able to do this turn, so what I'm going to do now is finish up all of the movement. I've got the usual tons of center ships and transport ships I need to move all over the place, and then we'll end the turn. So this is my slightly redesigned command ship. Basically I took off one hyperdrive engine and stuck on this acceleration field, the tech which I'd recently picked up via an artifact. It's incredibly expensive this in terms of manufacturing cost actually, but the extra range for the kinetic weapons should prove to be extremely useful. And I've replaced that with the old command ship design that's currently being made here. And I've done all of the movement for the turn, so you can see I'm now closing in on the Drengy homeworld. I've moved my transports up, and this very powerful fleet is coming down here, and I've also got a not so powerful fleet over there which is coalescing a bit. There's some ships coming in. I'm going to deal with those ships as well. The only thing I've got left to move this turn is one more Intrepid ship, so I've got to pick up that ship graveyard there. Let's do a quick battle. Okay. I picked up a scout ship which I shall turn into a whatchamacallit, constructor somewhere if I can find a resource to grab. So where shall I place it? Let's just have it come over there and I'll figure that out later. Right, so I believe that is the end of the turn. Next turn. That constructor's moving down to become a colony ship is moving down here to become a constructor. Got that moving up. Small fleet there. Drengy are pretty wrecked now. I think I might have the range to take out that transport next turn, and then I can strike the shipyard and the home world and move the transports in to take Drengy. And then I'll have to figure out what I'm doing after that. Going after the snapping more than likely.